Happy Friday, everybody. Welcome to There Is No Crying in Crochet. This is the podcast where we take your everyday crochet frustrations and we try to give you some answers for them. I'm Biz from Busy Crochet, and this is my cohort.
I am Debbie from Madam Stitch.
Hi. So glad to see you again. It's been forever, but I have a little show and tell today. Hang on just a second. I've got a baby. So this is my granddaughter, Maisie.
Wait, what is that?
Like, oh my God, what is going on? But she's home today because it is her mom's 30th birthday. So happy birthday, Stephanie. And she gets to stay home from daycare today and enjoy some yaya time and mama time and screen time. She's obsessed with screens. So her reaction is very funny. But
that's awesome.
Hi, oh, you're hanging on. Hi and bye.
Thanks for sharing.
So yeah, that's our fun today. Thank you, Steph. And but tell me about what you've been doing over the holidays. I mean, it's been weeks.
Well, now we have business we have to take care of first, right?
Oh, that's right. I forgot all about that.
You know what? We take a week or two off when we go, I have no idea what we're doing here. Absolutely.
So let me do the business. Okay, so the first business is, if you're following us on YouTube, make sure that you follow both Busy Crochet and Madam Stitch. We are trying to upload useful information for you guys as often as we can. I know that Deb's got some cute little, not cute, but new tutorials. I'm trying. My hands have just been, so I haven't really done a whole lot for videos. But I love it that you follow me and I appreciate it because we still go live here every single Friday and those do show up there. And if you are following on Facebook, make sure that you give StreamYard permission to see your name so we can see you when you chat with us. We love when you chat with us. We love to know who we're talking to. And look forward to our chat today. It's going to be a good one.
So now, Biz, drum roll. What's up this week?
This week, what's up the last couple weeks? Tell me about your holidays.
Right. So the last time we saw everybody, it was the Friday before Christmas and Hanukkah and all the holidays. And sorry, I have to shut this off just a second. There we go. My phone rang and that's all I hear in my earbuds. So we're not gonna answer that. Anyway, it was the Friday before all the holidays. So we were thick into the prep for that. The 2 weeks that we had off were just, I worked a little bit. I took time off. We had a very quiet Christmas. I did some cooking. The day after Christmas, my daughter kidnapped me, and her gift to me was a Broadway show in New York City.
Yes, I saw a picture of that. That was so cool.
Oh my gosh, it was so good. Are you familiar? Do you remember the show Smash?
I don't.
The network show?
No.
It was a show. It ran a couple of seasons, and it was about producing a Broadway show, a Broadway musical. And so there was a lot of music. Jeremy Jordan was in it, Megan Hilty.
Vaguely. I remember.
Yeah, and there were a couple, Deborah Messing and, a couple of other stars. But we've been looking for an opportunity to see Megan Hilty ever since we saw her on Smash. She is the star in Death Becomes Her, where a woman is trying to keep her youth. She doesn't want her she doesn't want to age. And I did not, but this musical is hilarious. The music is so difficult and Megan is just stunning in it. And they actually have stunt women in it because there's one place where she falls down the staircase, the spiral staircase in slow motion. And her stunt double does this and ends up, I swear I've never seen a real body do what her body did at the bottom of the steps. but it was a real person, no props. Oh my
Wow.
gosh, it was hilarious. Anyway, that was it. And, a quiet New Year's Eve. We played board games and
Oh,
built a
fun.
fire in the fireplace. That was it. So
Yeah.
back to work this week. So what
Yeah.
about you, Biz?
Mine was similar, and yet it was not. I mean, we didn't do anything like Broadway or anything like that, but it was just quiet, and it was a lot of family, and we spent a lot of time together, and made bougie meals at home, and just had fun, and went out to eat as a family a couple of times. It was so nice to just have everybody there, and
Yep.
had all of the parents over for Christmas breakfast. And then we had, I think that was the only time that we had a whole group of people over. But even for New Year's, like, we were in bed by 9 o'clock. It was just such a chill, such a chill holiday,
Oh
and
my
it was
gosh.
so nice. I just can't get over how nice it was. So relaxing. This is the first year that it's just been a really, really nice Christmas. And so after that, so my husband had off until New Year's Day, and then so that he went back the second, and he went back to work for 2 days, and then he was off and then I got to that weekend. I'm like, this is the last weekend before we have to just fall into reality, and like
It
it
is.
all has
Go
to
back.
start. We have to go back to the real world now, and
Yep.
so Monday, of course, I tried to start nice and slow because I went back to school. Tony went back to, of course, regular full-time schedule. Stephanie, of course, had to work the whole time, but like it just everything went back to normal. And I lamented that on the Sunday before. I was just, oh, if we could just stay in this little dreamy space we're in right now, it would be lovely.
I know. It was wonderful, that's for sure. But
Yeah.
here we are, back to
Here we
work
are.
and thrilled to be with everybody.
Yes. And so we have, well, kind of going along with that dreamy space thought. Today, we're going to be talking about being mindful as crocheters and how to get into this new year and set goals for ourselves that don't take us out of a peaceful place and keep us grounded. And there are ways to go into this without having to feel like, oh God, I have to do all the things. And so that's what we want to talk about today, because both of us are trying to be way more mindful about what we're tackling as well, so that there's nothing that we're doing that's stealing our joy.
Exactly. Yeah. The stuff that I'm crocheting right now is all stuff that brings me joy and helps me to relax. And a little bit of it is we have one more Christmas celebration because half of the family was out of the country over Christmas.
Oh,
So
that's
we're
right.
doing one more Christmas celebration. And I decided to make 2 granny square blankets. The granny squares are modified granny squares, so they're not traditional, but for the grandkids. And yes, I'm still working on them. And yes, tomorrow, the day before they're going to be gifted, I will be weaving in ends, but I don't feel angst about that because I have figured out that I can just chill.
Yes.
Even if I give them blankets that have ends sticking out, they're going to love it. So
Yes.
I'm not worried.
And they're youngins. They don't get angry about stuff like that.
They do not.
So the first thing that we made a whole list. We decided that we were gonna. Oh, she closed my office door. Nice of her. It wasn't even.
Were we too loud?
No,
I don't know.
But starting with self-reflection, starting off your thinking about, you can reflect on the year that you just had. What worked for you? What didn't work for you? What stressed you out? What do you want to leave behind? What do you want to make again? What brought you joy? So, and another thing on the were there any projects that you felt like were more of a chore than a passion?
Well, I tend to get very business oriented with my crochet, and people will ask me, what do you crochet for fun? In reality, what I crochet for fun is whatever I'm crocheting.
Yeah.
And I love deadlines because they keep me accountable. But when it comes to completing a crochet project, sometimes I hate deadlines. So I've actually laid out a lot of my coming year with what do I want to make? What did I start last year that I want to finish this year? And I've
Yes.
sprinkled those throughout the year. And I'm trying to choose projects that get my creative juices flowing, like maybe a new design that I've never tried before, or if it's a granny square blanket, how can I change that granny square and make it more fun for me? Not that a granny square isn't fun for me, but how can I change that design slightly? And one thing I did with the boys' blankets was I created squares that didn't have 1,000 ends to weave in for every square. And I made the squares bigger. So I'm just kind of thinking this year about how to make everything as pleasant and mindful, portable, take it with me as possible. That doesn't mean I'm not doing big projects, but yeah, that's kind of my thinking.
That keeps it interesting for you as well.
Yeah, it always has to be interesting for me. That's when I want to put it down.
Another thing to think about, and just to bring this in, because you were talking about changing up your granny squares, were there any new skills or techniques that you learned this year that you maybe want to bring into the new year and utilize towards, like any of the designs that you are coming up with, or any of the projects that you want to finish?
Well, kind of continuing on the theme from 2024, I'm pretty much let's do 1 or 2 stitches and call it a day and create something beautiful out of that. And there's great validity in that. But I started experimenting a little bit with subtle texture. I'm not a tremendous fan of post stitches because it makes I tire more easily when making post stitches. But the cardigan, the cocoon sweater that's coming out on Monday,
I saw those post stitches
all the way around that baby, all the way around. And the sleeves, the 10 inches of the forearm of the sleeves, are made entirely with post stitches, front and back post stitches. And I got myself into a rhythm, and so I'm starting to see how I can incorporate some post stitches in what I do without causing me a lot of fatigue and anxiety. And just kind of trying to add some texture, some really subtle texture to what I'm doing, again, without making things super complicated, but adding interesting features to them.
Right. Just throwing one in here and there it brings so much interest to, or just kind of ups the ante a little bit.
Exactly.
I have the pattern of the cardi, and I look forward to making it. So she's going to be joining your.
Oh, Dawn, you're going to be making it. All right. I know. I'm going to ask you, are you making the worsted or the bulky weight? So we'll see what she has to say. So that would be either mine or Christine's. No judgment here. It's, whatever yarn weight that you enjoy. And that's another thing. I didn't push myself to a heavier weight yarn this year for any of my projects because I just don't enjoy making them. So
yeah. Well, I think we all kind of have our favorites, the things that we like to work with, the things that bring us comfort, and that's part of it. Is you don't have to necessarily change what you like to use in order to create something that's cozy for you. Just because it's a new pattern doesn't necessarily mean it has to be new yarn. And I know that it sounds weird, like it shouldn't matter anyway, but alrighty. So let's see. Another thing that we can do set intentional goals with our projects. Like you and Dawn are about to embark on a crochet along, which that's awesome. So just real quick, tell everybody where they can join your crochet along.
Oh, goodness. Well, a little bit of a background is that Christine of Spotted Horse Design Company and I got together and created a cocoon sweater. So if you're not familiar with that design, it's basically a crochet shrug, but large enough to be a sweater rather than just across the shoulders. And it starts with a center square and builds out to the elbows with extensions on that square. Then after sewing up the underarm seams, you put on sleeves that are worked in front and post. Now my sleeves are different from Christine's sleeves.
Okay.
She's working with bulky weight yarn, so she was able to do slip stitch and half double crochets in the back loop to create her ribbing.
Okay.
When I tried that with worsted weight, it did not work at all. It was tight. It didn't look like a ribbing at all. So we experimented with the front post and that worked out perfectly. Right. And then it ends, she's added a hood to hers. So you can add a hood. Neat. And then there's a front post, just a 2 round front post, back post ribbing around the entire sweater. It's just a super mindful make. It's called the Rustic Barnside Comfort Cardigan. And you can go to my blog, madamstitch.com /blog and click on that event post. You can do the same with SpottedHorseDesignCo.com and find hers, depending upon which version you want to make. We're going to be releasing one section every week. So starting Monday, the center square comes out. Then we start to build that cardigan out in the subsequent Monday. So we're actually going to have prizes, bingo cards, giveaway prizes, show and tell, join my Facebook group, all the publicity right now. But it's just going to be it's just such a fun make. I loved making it.
Oh, that's cool. Is there any way that you could put the link to your blog in the comments?
I can. I will do that while you. Oh, did somebody else do that?
I was just going to say that Dawn said she's making hers with Scarfy, which says it's a 5 bulky, but the yarn looks worsted. I haven't ever used Scarfy, but
well, what's really cool about the pattern is that it's very forgiving. So it's not fitted at all. You just have to make sure you don't get it so large that it's hanging off of you. But it's just a really wonderful make. All right, so nope, that's the wrong one. Let me go to my blog. But anyway, setting intentional goals. Did you
goals, like a cal, getting involved in a cal? Setting intentional goals really means more like the quality of your work, worrying more about that than the quantity of the work. That you don't have to bang out a lot of projects in order to feel satisfied. Some of the examples are like, I want to finish one heirloom project this year. One thing that I'm going to pass down.
Or finishing works in progress. Getting through that. That's something that I think weighs heavily on people is they see that pile of whips and they go, oh my gosh, it's almost paralyzing. So choosing one thing and saying, all right, I'm going to have that done by XYZ.
Yes. And then even dedicating your time to like crocheting for charity or things like that, making small mindful projects that you can donate to places. Okay, and so Deb put her link in there for the cal. All right.
Yep.
Beans.
I like the one that you have here about learning a new skill. That I think it's important that we challenge ourselves as crocheters. Yes, we need mindful crochet, But one of the ways that makes it easy for us is when we challenge ourselves to learn new skills.
Mhm.
When you do choose a new skill that kind of fits into the kind of crochet that you like to do, rather than going way off the rails and go doing something so totally different that you go, well, that didn't work.
And
Try to,
I'm just gonna throw this in here because we were talking about cows. Like, you don't have to hit every cow that comes down the pike. Maybe say, I'm only going to
No.
allow myself to do 3 cows this year,
Yeah.
or I'm only going to allow
Yeah.
myself to do, a certain number of cows.
Yeah, because a lot of them are blankets. So how many blankets do you want to make this year?
Yes.
It's just
Yes.
not 10, I'm pretty sure. So
Yeah. Well, some people, they're like, oh my God, I love that one. And oh my God, I love that one. Oh my God, I love that one. And they want to join all of them. And then they end up with
Yep.
this overwhelm.
Well, one thing I'll point out about crochet alongs, most of them are free.
Yes.
Which means the pattern is somewhere free online.
Mhm.
I would encourage everybody to start a folder or a note. If you've got Apple products, you can start a note in your Notes app, or if you've got Google Drive, if you've got Gmail, you've got Google Drive, you can start yourself a Word document and just list the patterns that you've seen as crochet alongs and put the links in that document or notes somewhere, so that you can even go and grab a picture of it and stick it in your document. That way you almost have a library of future projects to do.
That's a really good idea, because I think what happens is it's that FOMO, that fear of missing out. Like, this is going to go away because everybody's gotten so used to everything flashing by so fast that if I don't grab it now, if I don't join up now, I'm going to miss it. So that's a really, really good point.
That's why I'm a big fan of just having something that's close by. A lot of people will have a notepad that they take notes on, but I always have my phone or I always have my iPad. So I make sure that I have some electronic way to keep track of those and just write it down. You may never use it again. That's fine. But at least if you really are looking for a project, you're going to like that one, you could go back and find it.
So what you're saying actually goes right into our next point, which is mindful project planning. And this would allow you to avoid overwhelm by creating something that you can go down and follow a list, or plan projects that fit in your schedule and in your energy level.
Right. Yeah. So if I'm going on a trip, I want to plan a project that I can take with me because I can't be without my crochet.
Right.
And I like this, limit the number of active works in progress.
Yes.
If this year you're going to be making, I know that's tough.
It is so hard.
If this year you're going to be making a lot of birthday, holiday gifts, then make that your main focus this year rather than a lot of other things and trying to fit that in.
Yep, for sure. It's hard. It's hard to limit yourself. It's hard to change old behaviors and old habits and things like that. It's like starting a diet at the beginning of the new year. You don't want to say no to yourself, but sometimes in order for our best mental health, for our best physical health, your hands can only take so much. It's important to limit yourself on how much you are doing at a time.
Well, as you said before, it's really hard because now there are so many crochet designers and so many designs out there and new ones every day that it's really hard when you see all of them to not go, I want that, I want that, I want that, I want all the things.
And like you said, so many of them put them out for free, so it's just that nab it and grab it kind of like, oh, I just want it.
Yep.
I want it. Dawn says, I see a lot of people starting journaling for crochet. That's actually part of like a mindful project planning, is tracking progress using your journals and your apps and your calendars and stuff like that. And like, when did I start this project? How long has this been sitting on my shelf? Because I have no idea on some of these. And I bought bags of yarn last year, and I have them separated out into their projects. I still haven't even made Maisie's baby blanket yet.
Oh,
I know.
oh,
I know.
what up?
I know. So, but part of mine has been I've been letting my arms heal, but I think I lost my Crojo in there, in that
A little
healing
bit.
process. I just
Mhm.
I made some things because I had to, because I had signed up for something and I had a deadline. But after that, it was like, yeah, I don't really feel I don't want it.
Well, Biz, when you're ready to get back into it, I've
Yeah,
got a great blog post for you. 5 tips on how to fall in love with crochet again.
I bet
So
it's
I'll
yours.
head you in that place. Yeah, I wanted to say that a lot of crochet designers have as free downloads
Mm,
progress trackers.
yeah.
So, that's a great thing to put with your works in progress so that you can tell what yarn you had, what hook you used,
Mm.
what the name of the pattern is, and keep it all together in a bag so that you don't lose track over time.
Which can be super detrimental if you're one of those people like I used to be before I put things in bags and had everything stay together. I would just set it down and walk away, and I'd come back and I'm like, what was this?
Wait,
What hook was I using? And I don't think I
yeah.
have that yarn anymore because I think I used it for something else.
And God forbid it should be discontinued,
Oh,
right?
it's all
That's happening all the time these days. So, it
yeah.
behooves you to finish those projects as you get them rather than putting
Yes.
them away and going, I'll finish that later 3 years. So, anyway,
Because there was a time when yarn, like you knew it was going to be there in a year.
mhm,
You know, not a
that
big
is
deal.
not the
I'll
case
just buy
anymore.
another kid. Now, yarn is changed almost as much as fashion is. Like
Yep.
every season, there's new yarns. They're like, oh well, we're gonna get rid of the old stuff. We're sorry that you fell in love with it. It's kind of like, okay, so
Sorry that you just made a design out of it. Great. That's
exactly, and
fabulous.
now you're promoting it. Okay, so Avon. I used to love Avon perfume, and every other season or so, they would come out with one that I just was like, oh yes, finally something doesn't smell like pee on me. So, I would just I have really bad pH, so like nothing smells good on me. So, and I like really clean smells. Pure Blanc came out in 2000 something. Loved it. Smelled so clean. It was the most perfect perfume I had ever found. Sure enough, those buggers discontinued it. Like they do with
Of course
every
they did.
single perfume that
Yeah.
I have ever loved. So that's kind of how
Yeah.
I'm getting to be with yarn. Every single time I fall in
Mhm.
love with something, it's like I fall in love with a cautious heart because it might not be there anymore.
Well, I do know that there's a marketing ploy called planned obsolescence that again, it makes you fall in love with something and then it goes away. And I know there's one major yarn company that will take a yarn, market it as one line, and then take that line away and market it as something new, but it's still the same yarn. I found that out. I mean, that's a brilliant ploy. It makes people think it's a brand new yarn. But
Yeah.
I found that out when I ordered the new yarn and went, wait, that's exactly what I was using. Wait, what? And it
Hilarious.
has all of the same specifications and stuff. It's just a different name. So, it's just
Honestly,
one of
it's
those things.
confusing.
Yeah.
We're trying to
Which
teach people how to
doesn't help us. It doesn't help us with our next one, which is sustainable crocheting.
exactly.
When you have to keep replacing stuff.
Yes, and we all know I'm a lover of, using what you have, being conscious of
Mhm.
of not being a waster of your supplies and stuff like that. And so here we're talking about the yarn industry who changes their underwear, changes their yarn like they change their
Well,
underwear. Oh well, that bombed.
uh,
Anyway,
you know, some of us should change our underwear more often. But anyway, we digress. Um, I love this one because it's very close to my heart right now. I have a lot of yarn.
yes,
And while I have been buying yarn because specific projects call for stuff I don't have, I've been trying very hard to use what I have and to repurpose it. So that I actually, one of the blankets that I'm giving on Sunday was a project that I thought I was going to design. It was, a fabulous pocket scarf, all of that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But I bought the darkest charcoal gray and realized that there's no way I was going to be able to take product photos. I didn't like the way it looked. And I don't do texture stitches very much, so black doesn't look good plain.
No.
So my younger grandson saw this project and frogged it all for me. He frogged it, he wound it into balls. So his blanket is made out of that charcoal gray in granny squares that have surface texture.
Nice.
So that's how I repurposed balls and balls of that stuff. There was so much, it made an entire blanket. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's good though. I have a ton of yarn too, and this is stash busting patterns is gotta be right up there with my absolute top favorite things to do.
Yep. And there are a lot.
Yes. And I love taking what I have only because I grew up so poor that, a lot of that carried over into my adulthood. And so I would never buy more than what I actually needed for a project. But then there was always that ball that was left over. And so all of that began to grow, and so I kind of fell in love with going into what I already have, making things from that, because I just can't bring myself to go buy something when I have, I can make do with what I have. And I don't, some people are like, oh, that's a poverty mentality, blah, 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 blah. No, I think it's a good steward mentality.
It is a steward mentality.
Yes, I love using what I have because it makes me feel better. I don't feel wasteful. It brings me joy. Some people aren't like that. Some people, their joy is in going and getting the new stuff all of the time, which,
well, it is fun. It is fun.
Oh, I love shopping and I love getting new yarn, but I'll tell you what, every time, excuse me, I apologize. My voice is very crackly today. Every time I go and do a whole yarn haul and the box comes and I'm like, yay, it's new yarn for about 5 seconds. I'm great. Now what am I going to do with it? Where am I going to put this? I have no space. And that's a stress. It's just a box of stress, so.
No, I love your point also about repairing and upcycling crochet pieces.
Yes.
Yeah, because you don't want to throw them away. Someone spent hours making something. We don't want to throw them away, and we don't want the yarn to end up in the landfill.
There's a kind of movement going now where people are going to the like the Goodwills and the thrift stores and stuff like that and finding old Afghans and old blankets and stuff, repurposing them into different pieces of clothing or bags or sweaters or whatever. And some people are really like, yes, that's just an amazing idea. Some people, it's almost like you can hear the jealousy in their words, like, oh, you should have, it was wonderful as it was. I can't believe you ripped up somebody's work. Except that, you know what? It was already destined for a landfill. At this point, yes, it was beautiful work. And what they did and the work that they put into it is beautiful. But now it's been repurposed and it's something new. It has new life. It gets to live again. It gets to be something else.
Yeah, I know. I love that. I love that.
Instead of just thrown away. That breaks my heart. All right. Definitely. So let's move on to self-care. We're going to prioritize self-care through crochet. And that's what my whole letting my arms heal thing, because I pushed them too far. And I really dealt with it took months for my arm to not hurt.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember that. So do you have plans to try to pick that up again, or are you just going to focus on other things for the moment and let it ride? I
Well,
know as much as you
yeah,
crochet and as much as you love it, it'll be back. It's
it
just
is
a
because
matter of
even now
when.
I have two works in progress that I gathered yarn from my room. I'm like, ooh, I need to do something. Except that I get into it and I find myself losing interest in what I'm working on. So I keep setting it down, which is that makes me upset. I don't like that I do that. So I keep the projects right there to basically guilt me into working on them.
Oh,
Um, so but yeah, I'm trying to work my way back into very slowly picking up projects, but I only work until I feel like things are getting a little bit because it's this arm that's really bad.
yeah.
This one I had carpal on years ago and I should have had it on the left, but I was too chicken, and now it wants to misbehave quite a bit. But I also use compression gloves, and I use my little massager thing, and I massage all of this, and I got creams and all the stuff up the wazoo. But um, it helps. It keeps you going, especially if
Yeah.
you are dealing with physical problems like that. Like until you can get surgery or until you can get therapy,
Right.
whatever, you do what you have to. I use by a company called Melaleuca. There's something called Penetrate, and it's spelled like PAIN a trait, and it uses the tea tree oil in it. Plus, it's got a lot of the wintergreens and stuff like that. That
Mhm.
is probably the best stuff that I've used. That just penetrates and gets right in there and like removes the pain, so that I can keep
Mhm.
going. Smells like, oh my god, it smells like a wintergreen in your house, but the pain's not there.
Now you're talking about self-care as from the physical aspect.
Yes.
I'm going to shift it for a second to the mental aspect of it. For
Mm-hmm.
me, crochet is all about calming anxiety, starting and ending a day with a routine that centers me, that allows me to just check out and enjoy the rhythmic movement of my hands. For me, the crochet itself is my self-care. I've been blessed, I don't know why, but I've been blessed with the ability to crochet long hours and not have to worry about it. That may end at any moment. So I'm cataloging all of these physical remedies. But for me, the self-care is two different aspects. It's physical. If you've got a lot of crocheting to do, take care of yourself, stretch, all of those kinds of things, but also use crochet to calm the anxiety in your head.
Yes.
Um, just get into that's why I think many of my designs they're not simple, but they're basic enough that you can sit and crochet without having to worry about the pattern
Yeah.
so much. And you can just get into the yarn. Right now I'm in love with Heartland by Lion Brand because
And stuff is
it's
so nice.
perfect weight.
Mm-hmm.
It's perfect weight. It is super soft,
Yeah.
super easy to work with.
And the
It
colors.
just feels good to work with it. And then the blanket, when
Mhm.
it's draped over me as I'm doing the border, is just this big old hug,
Yes.
right?
And the colors are
So
so nice. I love the colors of that.
they're just gorgeous. But there are lots of different yarns out there that do the same thing for you.
Mhm.
So self-care, this is the big one for me in January, is prioritizing self-care. And crochet is a big part of that. I'm not sure what I would do if I didn't have crochet in January because
Right. Right.
it'd
Well,
be the pits.
because for some people, Christmas and all of the holidays are super stressful. It's a chance to take
Mm-hmm.
that step back and just kind of
Yep.
be in your moment, as opposed
Yep.
to because usually there's very little deadliney things happening in January and February.
Unless you're me
Unless you're
running a crochet along. But it was a ton of fun to put together. But yeah, it's crocheting to start my day with my cup of coffee and to end my day with my cup of tea
Mhm.
is just That's it for me.
I know. Yeah. And quite honestly, I've found myself, since I've not been crocheting, I've found that I am a screen addict. Like, I am on the phone playing games. It's not that I'm like, you know, on social media or anything like that. I'm playing these stupid games. And I love them because they keep my brain active, and that's the thing. I'm constantly trying to keep my brain active. But um I almost need to start getting back into crochet because I don't eat as much and I don't sit on my phone all the time. I've got to get off this thing.
Yeah.
So I mean,
Well, it sounds familiar though, because that you need something. I need something to do all the time.
yes,
And I have the feeling I would do the same thing if I weren't crocheting. It would
yes.
be some sort of phone or iPad thing going
Yeah,
on.
because if I'm not doing school, I'm chilling out in the living room, and I've usually got some murder show on in the background, and I'm playing my game, my game where normally I would be crocheting and watching my murder show
Exactly.
and relax.
Exactly. And relaxing.
So moving right along, the next thing, which we've kind of covered in a couple of different ways, because it actually just works into the whole thing, is joining or creating community challenges like crochet alongs and getting involved in that, and highlighting opportunities to collaborate with other crocheters and be involved with other crocheters.
Or check out the public library. Do they have a knitting or crochet group?
Yes.
Or your local yarn shop. Although for those of us who have a propensity for buying yarn when we see it, being at the local yarn shop might not be your best avenue. But there are Instagram has communities.
Yes, everywhere.
Their Facebook groups do stuff together all the time.
Yeah.
Not just crochet alongs. So there are lots of ways to find community. And I'll tell you, the more I collaborate, the more I hang out with crocheters, the more I don't want to hang out with anybody else. It just feeds me.
Yes, well, it's that commonality thing, when you have the same spirit within and the same, like you're both working towards the same thing and you both love the same thing. It's that kindred spirit thing where you like to be around everybody. Thrifty Crocheter says, "Good afternoon, everybody. Hi. Glad you're here." Actually, we are close to getting to the end here, but after all of those things, and after we've taken the time to be mindful and step back and choose our projects carefully and all that stuff, another thing to do is to celebrate your wins. Celebrate your small wins, celebrate your big wins. Every time you achieve something, every time that you finish something, every time that you hit a milestone, or you on your calendar, you're able to tick off another thing that you completed. Go ahead and celebrate yourself. We're not part of the participation trophy group or anything like that. We're not like, oh, I need a chocolate every time I breathe. But I mean,
But especially when you're doing a big project, it's important to really celebrate the small stuff, because if you look only at the big project, it can be really depressing sometimes, or overwhelming, right? But to celebrate, okay, I made that. I think that's one of the reasons why I love squares so much. I love to see my pile grow and grow and grow. There are downsides to that, like 1,000 bajillion ends to weave in, then you got to sew them together. But I think that's why I like component projects rather than make it in one project, because then I get to celebrate every little piece.
Yes. And see, I am less of a motif maker. Like, I avoid things where I've got to make 96 squares, because I go, oh my God, 96 squares.
Well, I don't make 96 squares. I
like,
do not do that.
Somebody's asking, we're gonna make
Oh,
975
no,
2.5-inch squares. No, we're not, because
no,
I'll be on the other side of that
no.
one, because I am not gonna.
Mine are 10-inch squares.
That's the way to
So
do it.
you only need
12-inch
four
squares
to get across it. Like,
If I could not
no.
get into this thing after maybe 3 or 4 squares, we're gonna have
Oh
a problem.
gosh.
But
Yeah, I see pictures of those and go, I really don't understand how that makes you happy. I really don't.
man, it's so much.
Oh my gosh.
But even if you are a 96 square person, it's so fun to watch those grow. But the same thing with like the sampler blankets that I do.
Yep.
I love watching each one grow. I love seeing, I'm like, ooh, I want this texture in there, and if it works, it's like, yes. I feel like the winner, because something that I thought in my head actually turned out on my
Mhm. And you're actually doing components in that style as well.
uh-huh.
You're not doing the same 2-row repeat for 60 inches.
No,
You're
no.
doing
And so
components, parts.
never thought I would use that much math in all of my life. Um, no,
But here we are.
I absolutely hated algebra in high school, and I'm like, there's no point in this ever, until I got into.
Guess
And not
what?
only is it algebra, but when it's practical and you can apply it, it's so different. All right. So we'll talk about gratitude for the craft, gratitude for crochet in and of itself, gratitude for what we get to lay our hands to, and the fact that we've learned something that's so useful.
Yeah. It just brings such joy to me to know that when I'm finished with something, I get to give it to someone who's going to appreciate it.
Yes.
I don't need accolades for the time that I've spent, but a handmade piece for anybody, for me or for anybody, is just so special. And the act of going through and making it is so special.
So I want to bring up one of my testers. She makes a 12-inch square for every book she reads. And she makes it match the cover of her book. And so after a year or whatever, she has a blanket. She puts this blanket together. And right now she's actually piecing her last one together. But she reads like prolifically. And so she's got tons and tons of these 12-inch squares. But it's just such a cool idea. It's a way to commemorate something that you bring the two together. You love to read, you love to crochet, you get a blanket in the end. It's such a cool idea. It's like a gratitude project,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I
So
love that idea.
all right, that's pretty much all I have on my list, other than we want to invite you guys to share with us what your mindful goals are for this coming new year.
Oh, Dawn had algebra to get a D to pass the class. Oh, Dawn, I'm so sorry.
Girl,
She's back on algebra. Ugh.
that's okay. All right. So this is how many times I have taken algebra in my life. In high school, I had to take pre-algebra because I was too dumb to get into algebra. I got out of high school with just algebra. I know you're supposed to have like 2 or 3 different math classes. I got out with just algebra. And then in college, thank you very much, I had to take algebra again. And I had to take 2 courses of that. And I don't know what happened from high school to college, probably 10, 13 years. But there was a math lab that I took that I was able to get like a B and a C, where in high school I was a D student. Like, man, I was scraping my way out of high school. I worked really hard for every C I got in every class. So, but college is so different. I was in geometry for one day.
Okay, you guys are gonna hate me because I was a math minor in college.
Oh my God, that's my brother. He was a physics major with a math minor. Like, we are so polar opposite. I'm an English girl. He's a math guy. I mean, like and then in high school, I asked my brother to help me with one of my assignments, and he's like, okay, it's really hard for me to dumb myself down enough to do this work because
you turkey.
I know, because he said the stuff that we're doing, he didn't mean it to be mean, but he's like, I don't know that I can do this because the stuff that we're doing is so up here that this basic stuff, he's like, I can't bring myself back down to it. I'm like, oh my God. Like, how does
my daughter took calculus 2 in college for fun. Like, who does that? And my husband's an engineer. So anyway, some people math, yay. Some people math. If I have to add 2 and 2, thanks.
But you know what? Excuse my language, I was a kick-ass retail associate. I can make you some change. And I can do it.
It took me forever to figure out how to do change in elementary school, or there was one of those math lessons where they give you $1.
Yes.
And they owe you 63 cents, make change. And I'd go, what? I'm supposed to what? But then when I worked at a fabric store while I was finishing my degree in college, man, I was the master. Yeah, give me that $10. I'll give you change. Give me
with the pennies.
Yeah. And round it up. Like if you owe me $19.50, give me $21.50 and I'll get, or $24.50 and I'll give you $5 back. It was one of those things. Yeah. I loved it. Yeah. But I could not figure it out for the life of me in school.
I know. Dawn says she's a basic math girl, retail for over 20 years.
Yep.
Hallelujah. Yep. That's where I always was too. I was just a retail worker. And but I love business. I love the thought of business. And I like learning about business. But it can be hard business. It give me all these, like, figure out percentages. Nope.
Yeah, let's do something else.
Let's not figure out percentages. Or what's the word? What's the other one that everybody takes the class and what is it called? Why is my brain doing this?
Well, there's trigonometry, geometry, algebra, calculus. Those are the basics. I don't know.
Yes.
What else there might be.
It's in business. I want to say the word.
Statistics.
Statistics. Thank you.
Holy cow, that's the hardest one of all.
No, thank you.
No, that's really hard. Yeah, I won't do that. No, thank you.
Not this girl. Alrighty. So now that we've hashed over all of the math we won't do.
We should probably figure out what we've been watching this week.
Yeah. Oh, excuse me, now I have the hiccups. I kid you not. Let's see. I actually have to look at my Prime because I can't remember. I've been watching a lot of stupid reality TV shows, but there's a new season of the show called The Rig. I don't know if you've ever heard of this. It's on Prime, and it is about people who are on an oil rig, but then this storm.
Oh, I think I have seen that. Yeah.
Okay. So the second season is just starting, and that one is really good. I liked the first season a lot. That one was a really good one. Doggone, there was another one I was going to tell you guys about, and I can't remember what it is. Oh, Reacher's second season is coming, or third season.
I saw that. I'm excited. Yes. Excited. Yeah.
Yeah.
So this past weekend, Apple TV Plus was free.
Ooh,
I
nice.
canceled my subscription because we weren't using it, and I just didn't want to be paying the subscription. But they made it free, and my daughter and I started watching this series called Severance, where they've figured out a way to separate work from home. So when you're at work, you forget about home. When you're at home, you forget about work.
Ooh.
Oh my goodness, I'm going to renew Apple TV because it is just ridiculous. That one, and there are several other series, like Silo came back for the second season, that came back. And Shrinking. There are just a bunch of series on it that I think we're going to catch up on. We watched Fly Me to the Moon
Okay.
with Scarlett Johansson and oh my gosh, not Chris Pratt.
Evan?
Tatum. No.
Channing Tatum?
Thank you. That's the one. Tatum. Yes, that's the guy. And it was so good, so good. So yeah, we've been trying out things on streaming services when we can.
Yeah. Yeah, we usually, if we see that something's like got a 7-day free, we'll look around and see if there's any shows that we like, and maybe we'll sign up for it, and then we usually get rid of it before the 7 days are up. But there just hasn't been a lot that's been really, really interesting lately. We've been just doing these stupid. Every time I say, should we turn on this, that, or the other, always like, just something simple, something I don't have to think about, because they're both on their phone, like, whatever. So that's why we watch a lot of reality TV, is because nobody has to think very hard. And they all just want to chill. So whatever. If it makes them happy, I'm happy. I watch my shows in the afternoon when they're not around.
That sounds wonderful.
Yeah. So, and then there was a documentary that I watched the other day. I can't remember what streaming platform it was on, but it was, I think it was on Netflix, and it had to do with This Is My Daughter or something like that. It's a 2-part documentary about a girl who had given up her baby when she was 17, and then later on the adoption agency reached out to her to get her DNA because there was a body on the side of the road, and it created, like, she got sucked into this world, and the whole I'm not gonna story and stuff like that, but I thought it was really good. It was sad, but it was good.
That sounds interesting.
Yeah. Other than that, it's just been all baby and school and family.
Yep. Well, we are back to the routine.
We are. Oh, and I'm back to, okay, so over Christmas, I really fell off my wagon, and I stopped taking, like, my turmeric pills and my berberine and stuff like that. And that's the stuff that kind of keeps my joints all flexible and stuff. Boy, did I feel it. I started to upright again on Monday, and it was like almost immediately my body went, yeah, we're back. So I'm never leaving these stupid pills in this office unattended.
We are on it forever.
Okay. Yes. All right. I suppose we should probably say adieu to you. That was really
We should, but we'll be back next week with some more. Let's see what let's see. Oh gosh, next week is the anatomy of a crochet stitch. It's our crochet skills. Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah, talking about the different parts of the crochet stitch and what the terminology is, and the fastest, strongest, all of that kind of stuff, yarn and stitches. And then we'll talk about our favorite stitches. So it should be fun.
Yes.
Should be fun.
All right. Cool beans. So until next week, we are going to say, everybody have a great weekend. Be mindful, but be happy. Don't put a lot of pressure on yourself, because it's just the beginning of the year.
Set some goals.
Yeah. And write them down. Get a journal, write them down, make friends with your journal.
Yep.
It'll save your sanity. All right.
Exactly.
Be blessed, everyone.
Bye.